Africa celebrates 57th anniversary of the formation of the OAU, known as the AU. The impact of COVID-19 creates depression for different groups in Zimbabwe as the country registers more death cases. Cargo drivers in Uganda expressed discontent with conditions at border points as authorities conduct COVID-19 tests. This and more coming on The World today. Hello, this is Africa TV. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin. I am Amadou Kante. Many thanks for joining us, and now the news in detail. Today marks another African Day, observed annually to commemorate the founding of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, which was created on 25th May 1963, which was later renamed as the African Union, otherwise the AU. This name for 2020 anniversary for Africa Day is silencing the guns in the context of the COVID-19 response, with the African Union team for the year silencing the guns. The whole idea is around of the creation of conducive conditions for Africa's development to reinforce African Union's efforts in addressing the underlying root causes of conflict and facilitating socio-economic development. In his address to the occasion, Chairman of the African Union and President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, paid homage to the founding fathers for having defied all the odds to create the AU.
Fellow Africans, on this day, 57 years ago, the Organization of African Unity was born. From the beginning, it was dedicated to the idea that only through unity could Africa safeguard its independence and unlock its potential. Today, we pay tribute to our forebears, the founders of the OAU, whose dream of greater African integration and unity has endured. We also honor the legions of revolutionary leaders of Africa who took up the mantle of Pan-Africanism and who fought for the economic and political integration of our continent, Africa. They have left a formidable legacy for our continent and all its peoples. They continue to inspire us and the generations that will come after us. It was the mission of the founders of the OAU to liberate the continent from the clutches of colonial oppression, to restore Africa's fortunes, and to restore the dignity of every African man, woman, and child. We are reminded of the difficulties they had to overcome and the resistance they encountered from foreign powers that had much to gain from exploiting divisions on the continent. Yet they taught us the power of perseverance and sacrifice, of dedication to an ideal, and that an Africa united can overcome even the greatest of challenges.
Silencing the guns is part of the flagship project and programs of Agenda 2063, Africa's blueprint for its long-term socio-economic and integrative transformation. Well, congratulations to the, what should I say, happy anniversary to the continent as Africa celebrates Africa Liberation Day. Now, in his address during the feast marking the end of the Muslim month of Ramadan, President Adama Barrow described the month or the moment as the saddest period in history, that the prayers are to be observed in homes rather than on the usual congregational grounds. He said is a measure to stem the spread of the COVID-19.
This is one of the saddest periods in our history. as Muslims had to observe the holy month with restrictions that deprive them of the freedom to move freely or congregate in their places of worship, including the holy sites in Mecca and Medina. In this light, I register and re-echo special appreciation and recognition to our religious scholars and leaders for adhering to the regulations of the state of emergency and the measures adopted to protect all of us from the pandemic. It is obvious that protecting and saving lives is one of the key teachings of Islam. With mixed feelings, therefore, I congratulate all Muslims on the solemn occasion of Idul Fitri. If there is anything to take from the holy month of Ramadan, it is for us to remember that everyone will be held accountable for their deeds. Therefore, let us recommit ourselves to nation building and work together with sincerity in the service of our dear nation. I pray that all those infected with COVID-19 regain their health wherever they may be, and that the departed souls rest in eternal peace. May Allah also comfort their families and save us from such calamities. As we look forward to the rainy season, let us use the opportunity to actively engage in agriculture.
President Adama Barrow there speaking when he, of course, was addressing the Gambian people on the celebration of the Idul Fitri, known as Korite. Now, since the confirmation of the COVID-19 in Zimbabwe, its impact has been creating depression among citizens as the country registered death cases. People are becoming more worried about the situation and even find it difficult to sleep due to the unpredictable nature of the coronavirus. Experts have advised citizens to maintain social distancing in a bid to deal with the COVID-19. Here's more details of that in this report.
Trying to keep up with COVID-19 deaths, infections and social impact has spooked Sharon Mazingaizo.
It has made me feel very scared because, the thought of just going outside, you don't know who has COVID, who doesn't.
Soon after Zimbabwe's first death, she had trouble sleeping.
I would probably sleep around 3 a.m. briefly, and then just wake up. If I did manage to get to sleep, I would have terrible nightmares. Being somewhere without a mask, being in a very crowded place where people are not doing any social distancing, and I would always wake up, right, frightened.
Her symptoms show heightened anxiety, which others are experiencing, according to a counseling service that's dealing with their distress calls. It recommends taking a break from all the negativity.
Because the moment you're stuck on that television, the moment you're stuck on your phone, you find out that you're likely to be bombarded with lots of negative information. And sometimes the information is not so true. So choose wisely in terms of the information that you read, information that comes to you. You have to practice selective listening and selective viewing.
The advice for preventing the spread of the coronavirus is to stay at home and away from other people. However, if not managed properly, that may impact a person's mental well-being. Psychologists say physical separation should not lead to social isolation.
As human beings, we are social people and we want to belong and we want those social relationships. So during this period, you are saying that maintain those social relationships. Talk to someone because it helps to dialogue, it helps to talk to someone.
The counseling center has found a way to help during the lockdown.
So what we've had to do or decided to do is have our sessions online, which is via the WhatsApp platform. It's the simplest and cheapest for now, where we use like WhatsApp calls, depending on what the client is comfortable with. It could be a voice call could be a video call, it could be voice notes if they want, or texting for whatever stipulated time.
Experts explain that those suffering from anxiety may have difficulty reaching out. However, they added that connecting with others and just hearing someone else's voice on the other end of the line can help ease anxieties during the current lockdown.
And from the report there in Zimbabwe, we'll now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the story. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You are watching the World Today News Bulletin on Africa TV, and now to the rest of the stories. Now, moments ahead of the Muslim feast of Idul Fitri, also known as Korite, the Gambia Police Force won a firm enforcement for all provisions of the emergency powers regulations as extended by President Adama Barrow to 21 days. By the announcement, no form of public gatherings would be allowed, so that the 2020 Idul Fitri was to be observed at homes, but few communities had their leaders booked in the books of the Gambian police. In Basori, villagers reportedly obstructed police operations to arrest the caliph, who had gone ahead to lead a congregation despite the emergency restrictions. President Adama Barrow afterwards sent a delegation to the village to apologize to the religious scholar for the behavior of the police. And from that, next we of course stay at home, because in the morning of Korite, men and women dressed in their African attires to observe the congregation in various places of worship. But this year's event, coming in the wake of the COVID-19 measures as a result of emergency powers invoked by the president, did not allow the usual occasion. Our coverage saw that major towns, including the Serekunda market, were well visited on the very day of the Idul Fitri. Lawyer Usainu Dabo, leader of the United Democratic Party, shared his diagnostic view on the level of public adherence to the coronavirus measures in the Gambia, noting that public awareness remains a big challenge. He told iAfrica TV on Sunday that there was a leadership obligation to rid of misconceptions about the outbreak of the coronavirus.
The World Health Organization and the health authorities here in the Gambia has been setting guidelines which people should follow in order to mitigate the spread of the virus. Has this been adhered to?
Well, I don't think it has been strictly adhered to. And I believe that is because maybe the vast majority of the people are in denial that the coronavirus is in the Gambia. And I don't think anyone should be in denial. And we should all accept the reality that the coronavirus is with us here, and that it has no cure yet. And the only way really to combat it is to abide by the guidelines given by the World Health Organization and of course endorsed by our health ministry. And there has to be persistent calls by leadership. If you remember, there was a time I had called on the leadership, that the president should come out and give us the leadership, and the rest of us should follow. I didn't think that any of us, we could, but I don't think that it was appropriate for any of us to really take up what I would consider as the leadership role in this fight. When I gave out the wash and stations. I appealed to the government. Then government hadn't done anything. I appealed to the president to come out and lead us. When I demonstrated how we should do the hand washing, I again appealed that the president should come out and lead us so that we follow. And I think it was an appropriate call. And I think I was giving to the president or drawing his attention to his very vital role in circumstances of this nature.
Lawyer Hussein Dabo, UDP's party leader, there speaking to iAfrica TV. Next to Uganda, where the impact of the coronavirus global pandemic has greatly affected the movement of goods and services in the country as cargo drivers get stuck at border points for COVID-19 testings. Drivers are disgruntled of the situation, but the authorities wouldn't allow normal operations without proper checkups. Health officials promised to fast-track the testing program in order to reduce the traffic congestion at the borders. Here is more details of that in this report.
Traffic at the different border points in the region is at standstill. Cargo trucks have been on queue for days, waiting for their COVID-19 results. And the crowding is causing fears of transmission to the community around the border areas.
There's even no food here, no water. We are just too stressed. We're tired and fed up.
The truckers are not allowed to proceed with their journeys once they turn positive. Uganda has so far turned back over 200 foreign truck drivers who tested positive. And the other ESC countries too are doing the same.
Uganda is a transit route for a large number of trucks destined to Rwanda, destined to South Sudan, destined to the DRC. So it is unwise for us to keep on keeping them in our country and treating them here. They would fill up all the hospital spaces.
Uganda revised its coronavirus cases downwards by striking foreign drivers off its tally. The decision to remove foreign truck drivers was made by President Museveni. Other regulations also forbid the truckers from stopping at undesignated points.
Even if you want to stop and eat, you are not allowed to get out of your truck. You are chased away instead.
Uganda's Ministry of Health says they are improving their systems to have COVID-19 results returned faster.
Bringing samples from the border points of entry to the central region where we are testing takes a bit of time. But when the tests are done, results need to be returned in the shortest time possible. We have now managed to put computers so we can scan the results and send them back online.
Guidelines by the World Health Organization requires that each country adds all cases that test positive to their tally. A meeting of heads of state from the East African region is due at the end of this month. It's hoped a solution on how to resolve the issue of cargo movement and the testing of drivers could be got.
From the report there in Uganda, finally we head to South Africa. Now, South Africa has lifted the ban on e-commerce services to bring light on the economy amidst the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Businesses were largely affected during the country's lockdown to cope the spread of the virus. The move has been welcomed by the online businesses industry on point that it could help in the recovery process ahead of time. Let's have more details of that in this report.
Online daily deals platform One Day Only has had its hands full since the e-commerce ban was lifted. Staff adhere to strict safety measures and customer packages are treated with great care. Over 2,000 products are received and dispatched daily from its Johannesburg warehouse.
It's been a really long, hard struggle over the last 2 months with having to swing the business around. And I think we've done incredibly well to pivot it and to supply so-called essential and level 4 items to our customers over the last 2 months. But it really is a big relief to be able to extend that base to all items except for wine and tobacco.
South Africa is expected to fall into recession after business activity was halted for close to 6 weeks to deal with the coronavirus. Locally made products are being pushed to inject some life into the economy as lockdown restrictions ease.
We are constantly looking at companies that are employing locally. So, for example, we've sold so many face masks. Those are just small businesses with machinists who can actually provide for their families. So that's been incredible. And we are starting to do days that are specifically focused on supporting local products. So really giving major attention to it. And hopefully that will mean an increase in employment for, smaller businesses that are locally producing, which is a really big driver.
Retailers saw a 200% boom in online grocery shopping when lockdown was in full force. There's now a growing appetite for other goods.
It has been very, very hard for people to be at home. Gyms are closed. So things like treadmills and running machines today, in fact, we're really focusing just on fitness items, kettlebells and exercise mats, etc. But in addition to that, people are at home. So they're really focusing on their home, beds, for example, kitchen items, air fryers, instant pots. So a lot of those kind of items. And then, of course, you've got clothing, a lot of winter clothing.
Online sales are shaping to beat estimates by 2 years. A 2% share of the $60 billion retail sales market, which was expected in 2022, is now likely to be achieved by the end of this year.
A lot of my shopping has actually moved online, and I see the trends as well across family members, friends, colleagues, and so forth. Being able to do that shopping online removes that fear. It's almost like a matter of life and death to an extent, in a sense that it frees you, it gives you the convenience that you need. You can be with your family and you can also be safe.
Since government lifted the e-commerce ban, South African online sales have exploded. Before the pandemic, e-commerce in Africa lagged behind compared to other parts of the world, but now these platforms seem to be the solution to many people's fears.
And that report in South Africa finally brings this news bulletin to an end. For more details on this and other stories, you can also look on our website on africa.tv. Many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye for now.
Baadiŋol men be Gambia aniŋ Gambia e bantala mbeŋa ñillon ko TRRC bala dokuwo sal labaŋo le kono andi la dokuwo be looriŋ meŋ kaŋ waleŋ hadamadiŋol meŋ na ñanto tiñaata ñiŋ banko kaŋ jaŋ kabiriŋ July karo 1994 saŋo la kana January karo 2017 saŋo la woto momo ye a loŋ ko i mantorata ñiŋ waato kono andi maŋ futa TRRC folo pour que la kumakaŋo di nsaafo ma ye statement o ye feere ke ye futa TRRC ye la kumakaŋo di atariya ñama yo pour kana TRRC ye feŋo feŋ kenan pasoti kana futa je walla feŋo feŋ dépense pour ka futa TRRC ke la kumakaŋo di abe seyindilema le bari mbe ñiŋ fanaŋ koyindi la ko pour ka statement o fanaŋ di a maŋ ke ko momo ye la kumakaŋo di TRRC i be lo la television o ñaato le moo be ye juube wo tuti ite le bulu ni lefta ka testify moo be ye lamoyi moo be ye je i se wo keno le bari ni maŋ lef wo fanaŋ na ise kumakaŋo diino le a ye tara moolu ke kaŋo moyi bari ite ñaada jela niŋ du maŋ lafi wo fanaŋ na ise siino i niŋ commissional damma ali ye kacca a ye tara moo te bole kalama andu niŋ me lafita ka ñiŋ ke ise katoo ke ye ñiŋ téléphone nombal kumandi pour ka TRRC soto no 770-4988 770-4988 wala 741-5937 741-5937 ala baraka mo be sa dake TRRC dokot